Legends getting on track for the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones, and that means chaos. Julian, we were just touching on it during the break. This is going to be chaotic for the Brabhams.
Yeah, it's the difficult cars to drive, and the Legends don't get the mileage and they're not as used to the simulators compared to some of the pros and the sim drivers. This man, Fernando Alonso, has been so fast the last couple of weeks, though. Let's see. I mean, Jenson Button not in this field really helps him to keep that winning streak running, I guess.
So we're on board with Jan Magnussen at the moment as he comes down towards Tabak through the left-hander. There we can see him in the bottom left, back on board with Fernando Montoya, Juan Pablo Montoya, as he comes into the right-hander at Rascasse. There you see him in the bottom left, out through the start-finish straight again, through Anthony Nogues, and we'll cut the timing beam down towards Sanderbot to start his flying lap into the right-hander, and starting to power on up the hill. Great to hear the sounds of these cars.
Yeah, it is great, isn't it? The classic F1 on this circuit. The first look then at what Montoya can do. A man that's won in Formula One around this track. A man that's only one race win away from the Triple Crown in reality. If he does Le Mans, as we were talking to him about at the start of the show. I tell you what, he's looking quite neat and tidy. And these cars, so often, they're big understeer or wicked oversteer. Alonso there scrubbing the front with a bit of understeer in Poitiers. But that was looking neat and tidy for Montoya.
Alonso onto the brakes into Nouvelle Chicane. Through the left, through the right. You'll notice that the zoom call is slightly ahead of the game. So you'll see Alonso turn in there to Tabak a couple of seconds before we see it in real life, I was going to say. Now into the swimming pool section. Oof, right up to the wall on the entry to the swimming pool. Very aggressive on the exit, and he's done the fastest middle sector of anyone. Is he going to obliterate the field in the way he did at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago? On the power through the final corner now. Solberg does a 1:29.2. Petter Solberg, the former rally champion. Alonso does a 27.8, 1.4 seconds quicker, 0.6 ahead of Montoya, 0.8 ahead of Magnussen. Castroneves, Hélio Castroneves slots into second position, half a second away from Alonso. That's a very good qualifying performance. David Brabham cuts the timing beam now, and he goes 6th, ahead of Michel Jourdain, Dominguez and Coronel, the 9 drivers to have set the lap time. Is Tonio Liuzzi, but again, Alonso looks strong, but that Castroneves time's really impressive.
Yeah, Castroneves, that's the best we've seen of him so far. These guys can get a second lap in as well. Let's not forget, they've got time on the clock to improve. And Jan Magnussen has improved his first sector. Not much to separate him and Alonso through there. But of course, Alonso, we can see in set top right, is probably also improving. It's the sort of track where you do need to improve with the laps and keep on top of your game. Magnussen right now 4th, maybe a little bit disappointed to be that far down.
Well, we'll see what he's got in the middle sector now, as you say, fractionally away from Alonso in sector 1. Comes through sector 2, and we'll see what he's got. We can see Alonso up in the top right. He's 0.3 away after, big chunk of curve there. So he's on for a better lap here, I think, Magnussen. Might be able to get up onto the front row. Keep your eyes on Alonso as he comes across the line. Did a 27.8 before. He's gone, he's now done a 27.3. Destroying the field again. Magnussen goes second, 0.8 of a second away from Alonso. Here's Tom Coronel, 1.4 seconds adrift after the first 2 sectors as they come out through the right-hander over the start-finish straight. Coronel is 10th, goes up to 8th, and then shouts something. Jason Plato across the line. Montoya 4th, Castroneves 3rd, Plato goes into 13th position. So it's Alonso again who takes pole position. I mean, a bit ridiculous, really, isn't it? I have to say. Here's how the grid will line up. Alonso ahead of Magnussen, Castroneves 3rd, Juan Pablo Montoya 4th, Andy Priaulx 5th, Solberg, Liuzzi, Brabham, Coronel and Jourdain, the rest of the top 10. good effort from Castroneves, I'd say, Jolien. He's my standout there.
Absolutely. I think that's by far the best we've seen from Hélio so far. And I don't know if he didn't get a second lap or if he didn't improve on it, but his first lap was good enough for third on the grid there.
And I'm fairly sure he's never raced Monaco before or driven Monaco before. Maybe he's been at some point, although you'd think it would always clash with the Indy 500. Peter Solberg, 6th on the grid. Tonio Liuzzi in 7th, 8th for David Brabham. Then further back in the field, we've got some of the other legends like Jourdain, Mario Dominguez in 11th place. Steve Soper joining the race for the first time in 12th position. Great to have the legendary British touring car racer there in 12th on the grid, just ahead of another legendary British touring car racer in the form of Jason Plato. So, the race about to get underway in the Legends Trophy on the run down towards turn 1. Alonso on pole. Magnussen alongside him on the front of the grid. Castroneves and Montoya on row 2. The Legends Trophy at Monaco is underway. Alonso with another swoop across to chop the front of Magnussen off as they come into Sanderbot for the first time. And what's Castroneves doing? He's taken the lead of the race. He's up into... Oh, you don't think he did that on his qualifying lap, did you? Because I saw him do it on the on his cool down lap, on his in lap, but assumed that was just because he was on his in lap. But maybe he thinks that is where the track goes. Alonso hits the back of him down into Mirabeau, and Alonso is back in the lead.
And Castroneves is down to 4th, and I think he stayed there actually. But Magnussen and Montoya both through. Yeah, I bet he did do that because he did. And the same as you, I saw he did that on the second lap, but I assumed that was a one-off. But yeah, he did it with speed as well, didn't he? So maybe that is why Castroneves saved a good, second or two just by going to the right of Sanderbot.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't count in the game as cutting the track because it's the pit lane exit, and you're allowed to be in the pit lane exit. So, yeah, interesting one there for Hélio Castroneves. We'll see whether he falls back in the order. Solberg in 5th, but it is Alonso, Magnussen, Montoya, the top 3, as they come into Rascasse for the first time. On board with Montoya in 3rd. Alonso out in front as he comes across to complete the first lap. There is Castroneves in 4th place. Montoya in 3rd. Solberg a little bit further back. And we go on board with Jan Magnussen now, running in 2nd spot. A reminder, this is the first race in the Triple Crown Series on the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. After this, we do Indianapolis, then we do Le Mans. See if any of the... I mean, Alonso might well get this virtual Triple Crown here with the performance he's showing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising, would it, after he's won the last 2 weekends, but both races, he's doubled up, including the reverse grid, and relatively comfortably as well, to be honest. But Montoya and Magnussen so far keeping him relatively honest. Magnussen just over a second back. Any mistake from Alonso would be punished right now. Here we go then, Castroneves. This is how to go into the lead at turn 1 from 3rd place. Just whoop. Thank you very much. Into the lead. I bet Alonso on the exit of that, he must have been raging. His hard-earned pole position, and then it didn't take him just a couple of corners just to nudge Hélio straight out of the way. But Castroneves has been doing that all the time, by the way. He did it at the start of lap 2 as well. Here we go. Bang. Oh. See you later.
It's a yoke. Lap 3 of 10. Alonso, Magnussen, Montoya. The top 3. And Alonso pulling away now, 2 seconds ahead of Magnussen. But Juan Pablo Montoya is right with Magnussen here. We can see him in the bottom left, wrestling the car down towards the hairpin at Lowe's. Right up behind Magnussen. This is going to be a good fight, I think.
He's got some pace, doesn't he, Montoya? Right, this is going to be a chance here. Magnussen qualified with that second lap, managed to get on the front row, but he's only just ahead of Montoya through the tunnel. I think he's actually just managed to stretch his leg maybe enough extra to Portier, unless Montoya... Oh, he's gone in deep. Beauty of a move.
They're still side by side. Montoya has the inside into the back, and there we go. The overtake is made. Interesting one from Montoya, but he gets the place up into the second position.
I think he was making that corner until he had contact from Magnussen, to be honest. I think Magnussen turning into Montoya actually forced them both across the chicane, because it actually looked like Montoya just measured the brakes that little bit better at first, but then there was contact, and then they both obviously skipped slightly the right-hand part of the chicane, the second part, and Montoya, by virtue of going across the track, takes the place. But I think that might have been okay until they had contact there.
Well, Montoya, whatever the case, is up into second position, and actually pulling away quite quickly from Jan Magnussen, isn't he? Magnussen in third place, 1.2 seconds back. Castroneves in fourth still. Still possibly cutting the corner at Saint-Devote. Solberg in fifth, Coronel, Priaulx, Brabham, Dominguez and Jourdain, the rest of the top 10. Plato just outside the top 10, but he's lost a lot of time, so I wonder if there's been a collision or something there somewhere for Jason Plato, who was the latest guest on the race esports podcast. Here's a replay then, on board with Magnussen. Here comes Montoya.
So he goes in really deep, but then look, yeah, they interlock wheels, and I think that's what stopped Montoya from actually making it round the corner. And then Magnussen's just grinding against the right-hand barrier, which slows him down, possibly even damages the car, which might explain why he's dropping back quicker. But that was a lovely move from Montoya, I think, and he would have made it absolutely cleanly, but Magnussen, probably not expecting the move, just turning in, and they interlock wheels, which forced them both across the chicane. So good stuff from Montoya, and as you said, he's got pace now. Magnussen's dropped back. He's made a big mistake on this lap, but Montoya now is 4 seconds behind Alonso. Let's see from the rest of the race how honest he can keep Alonso in terms of pace.
Here's Priaulx and Coronel fighting over sixth position. Up to Massenet. They then, bit of a slide there for Priaulx as he gets on the power. Trying to chase down Coronel for that sixth spot. Montoya 4.6 seconds back from Alonso. Magnussen third, Castroneves fourth, Solberg in fifth still. And then this battle between Coronel and Priaulx. Then David Brabham, Jourdain and Dominguez completing the top 10. So they come out onto the tunnel into the Nouvelle chicane. Is Priaulx going to fancy? He's a bit too far back this time around, I think, as they get onto the brakes, into side by side in front. Solberg getting ahead of Castroneves then. So Solberg has got ahead of Castroneves. Coronel still ahead of Priaulx.
I think Solberg might have done that around the outside of the second part, so maybe on the inside of the first part of the chicane. But yeah, they were still side by side. Priaulx jumped the chicane in the swimming pool. That was looking like a Solberg on the inside, I guess, similar to Montoya, and then he had the outside for the second part, side by side, and better exit. Solberg takes the place.
Coronel still running in sixth spot, but heading straight to the wall, and Priaulx then hits into Coronel. So they get away with that one, and they're now both closing in on Hélio Castroneves. Lap 6 of 10. Alonso's lead up to 6 seconds now ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya. Magnussen third, Solberg fourth. Here's a replay of how Peter Solberg got past Castroneves.
He's a long way back. Oh, there we go. Hélio's cut the corner and then rejoined halfway, and that's why they were side by side at that bit. I thought it was strange that they managed to get through that whole first apex side by side. And in fact, it was Hélio rejoining the track, and so obviously he knows he can't cut that one.
Yeah, lap 6 of 10 on board with Priaulx. Oh, Coronel doesn't though, and he has a little bit of a cut there, but He is still in 6th place, closing in now on Castroneves. Through the left, through the right. Priaulx closing in on Coronel again as they come through the swimming pool. Now up into Raskas. Now through Anthony Noakes. Steve Soper out of the race, as you see down there on the bottom left, which is a shame in his first race in the Legends Trophy. The 68-year-old touring car legend who's won the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring in 1987, 24 Hours of Spa in 95, Japanese touring car champion, second in the British Touring Car Championship in 1993 as well. So it's been a great touring car career for Steve Soper. Great to have him here in the Legends Trophy as well, even if he has retired from this one. But, and so is the other touring car legend, Jason Plato, but they'll both be at the front of the order for the reverse grid race a little bit later on this afternoon. After this race, we've got reverse grids for the pros, the sims, and the legends again. But Alonso is absolutely bossing this.
Oh, it's wall. Hard into the wall. I mean, bossing it. He's pushing on, isn't he? Lucky that there's 25% damage and not higher, I think, because he really clattered that wall hard, but somehow got away with it.
So Alonso still leading despite that wall hit. And there is Coronel now coming up to the back of Castroneves. Now let's see what line Castroneves takes through turn 1 at Saint-Devote this time. Lap 8 of 10 now. Coronel closing in on Castroneves. I wonder, also watch Coronel's reaction if Castroneves does cut the first corner like we've seen him do in the past. No, there we go, he does it right. So he does know how to do it.
Didn't quite do it right. I mean, he still managed to brush the wall heavily on the outside, but at least he took the corner properly. Oh, Andy Priaulx's had a bit of a spin, and he's going to just nudge. Is that Dominguez coming back? Brabham coming through. So a shame for Priaulx. Just caught that inside wheel on Portier there. Got to spin round.
On board with Coronel, trying to catch Castroneves. Lap 8 of 10. Alonso's lead now 10 seconds over Juan Pablo Montoya in second place. Magnussen has dropped 4 seconds back from Montoya. We're on board with Priaulx in the top right, on board with Coronel in the main screen as he tries to close in on Castroneves for 5th position. Still been a good drive this from Castroneves. Not doing a bad job to keep Coronel behind. As they come out towards Raskas again, Alonso's on his penultimate lap of the race. As we ride with Coronel through Anthony Noakes once more. Into Saint-Devote. Not sure he's going to catch Castroneves, you know. He's been closing in on him, but it feels as though Castroneves has kind of found his pace now. As he comes up through Massenet and out of shape and in the wall there for Coronel. That'll cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, that's difficult there. Run the outside of Massenet. The track falls away quickly, and Coronel there just had an oversteer on, couldn't make the apex, and when you run wide of that, you do fall into the wall on the outside. And all trying to push to catch Castroneves in 5th place. But too hard then, and you're right, Castroneves now looks to be settling in more, doing the right track, and at a sensible pace as well. This is definitely, I know he cut the track earlier on, but this is his best showing still, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, definitely, there's no doubt about that. Here comes Alonso, out to start his final lap of the race now. 10 seconds ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya in a 10-lap race. That is quite the pace advantage for Alonso as he now climbs up the hill. Here is Castroneves running in 5th position, trying to hold off Tom Coronel for one final lap and hold on to that 5th place. Coronel's getting closer though. Less than half a second now between them. down towards Sandebot for the final time. We're on board with Coronel. This is the chase on the final lap. Coronel taking a huge chunk of curb now. Up to Massenet. Pulls out. Won't get the move made there. Under the ABK Beer Bridge. Where's the move going to come for Tom Coronel on this final lap of the race?
Castroneves really quick through Massenet and Casino Square. And he's just managed to, that's critical there, because he's managed to gap Coronel before these hairpins. And if Coronel can't find something here, he's going to lose the last overtaking place as well, really, which is coming up on the exit of Portier now into the chicane. And look, he's nearly a second back. He was really quick through the first corner, quick in the last sector, but not quick enough in the crucial corners where it matters. He's miles back now.
But Fernando Alonso out through Anthony Nogues to win the Legends Trophy race in Monaco. The start of his Triple Crown attempt number 2. Juan Pablo Montoya, another Monaco Grand Prix winner, across the line in second place to take a podium finish ahead of Jan Magnussen, who finishes in third spot. Solberg fourth. But Solberg actually was quite quiet in that race. Hélio Castroneves, good drive from him to finish in 5th position. But yeah, I would have said I would have expected a bit more from Solberg in that one, Jolien.
He's been making progress every weekend, but it's such a tricky circuit. You've got the 2 former F1 Monaco GP winners, Alonso and Montoya, out front. Magnussen's been quick all the time. It's very difficult for Solberg to compete with them. I'm really looking forward to the reverse grid, though. I mean, that's going to be a fascinating race to see what Alonso, Montoya and co can do from the back.
So here's a look at the results then. And it is Fernando Alonso who takes the win. Juan Pablo Montoya in second place. Jan Magnussen in third. Let's speak to the race winner, Fernando Alonso, after a dominant drive there in Monaco. Fernando, a great drive, a second quicker a lap than everybody else. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to have a clean race, even if at the start we saw one car in front that I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I think it was a good race. We knew that the important thing here was qualifying, so we put a lap together, starting first. And now it's going to be much more tricky in the reverse grid.
How much practice are you putting in ahead of these races, would you say?
I think I did like half an hour yesterday and 1 hour today. So I've been concentrating more in the Le Mans 24 virtual. That is going to be next week. So yeah, try to be a little bit in both, but not much here in Monaco, no.
Okay, great. Well, we look forward to the reverse good race. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate.
Well, time now for the final race of the day, and perhaps the most difficult to predict and the difficult to win. Starting at the back in a Brabham around Monaco. Alonso was the victor. Montoya was second. They're both going to be near the back. This is going to be extremely difficult, surely, to get through the field, Jack.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough. But, well, I say that. We've seen Job Van Eyter do it, haven't we? Will we see Fernando Alonso do it? And Juan Pablo Montoya. They'll both be starting towards the back. Both have won Monaco. Alonso's won Le Mans. Montoya's won the Indy 500 twice. They are our 2 Triple Crown men, let's say, coming into this week. And they finished first and second in the Grand Prix earlier on. But Montoya wasn't really there in the Indianapolis Oval race for the Legends. So we'll see whether he has upped his game on that in 2 weeks' time.
And Alonso no longer has his running mate button to work with, to draft with. He's obviously doing some karting this week. See if he joins us again down the line. But yeah, maybe we'll call them double crown men, Jolien, because they're still seeking that triple crown in real life. Maybe a chance to win it virtually. Alonso's got 1 win required. We'll see if Montoya can best that in this race.
So let's have a look at the grid for the reverse grid. Legends Trophy race, and it is Jason Plato starting on pole position at Monaco. Steve Soper alongside him on the front row. Really cool to have Steve Soper here. Mario Dominguez in third. Tom Coronel 5th. Brabham in 6th. Liuzzi and Solberg the rest of the time. I'm going for Solberg for a cheeky podium. I think Solberg might get a cheeky podium here, starting 8th on the grid. Then we've got Andy Priaulx in 9th position, Juan Pablo Montoya in 10th, Hélio Castroneves in 11th, Jan Magnussen 12th, and completing the 13 about to start is Fernando Alonso. So let's see what the Spaniard can do. Starting at the back, can he make it 6 in a row? 6 in a row, Fernando Alonso. We'll see. 10 laps of racing, about to get underway. Plato on pole, Soper alongside him. Dominguez and Jourdain are on row 2. On board with Alonso further back as we wait for the lights. There they are. Plato launches away. Slow start from Dominguez. He's immediately getting swamped by Coronel. Plato into turn 1. Gets a hit from Soper. Coronel gets a hit. Everybody gets a hit. Alonso gets a hit. And Alonso's down to 13th still. And now 12th. And Magnussen's on his head. Alonso's got Magnussen on his head, and he's in 10th position now. And Coronel is spinning across the track, and Alonso's got hit again. And now Alonso's on his own head, and Plato's all out of shape. And Andy Priaulx leads. Soper's up into 2nd, and 3rd is Plato, and 4th is Petter Solberg. That is Jason Plato in the bottom left. Busy stuff.
So if Alonso's going to win this one, he's going to do it the impossible way. He's 30 seconds off and right at the back, caught up in all sorts of chaos, and surely with a load of damage as well. Andy Priaulx leads, but he completely cut turn 1, and so I don't know what's going to happen about that, quite frankly. He probably saw Castroneves do it before, and that is Plato into the back of Soper, is it? And the two touring car legends have come to blows, and Solberg through into 2nd. But yeah, Priaulx cut the first corner, and right now he's 2.5 seconds clear in front.
You can take the legends out of the touring cars, but you can't take the touring cars out of the legends. Petter Solberg up into 2nd place.
If we had a race, we're racing in classic F1 cars. If we had a race in sort of like 80s touring cars, some BMW from the 80s, is that going to be Steve Soper coming to the fore and Jason Plato? Are we going to see Alonso and co floundering a bit more? Who knows?
Wow, that would be cool. That would be cool. Priaulx leading 2 seconds now ahead of Petter Solberg in 2nd place. Plato still there, running in 3rd. The latest guest on the Race Esports podcast. Montoya 4th, Castroneves 5th. Soper, Coronel, Jourdain, Liuzzi and Dominguez the top 10. Alonso, so he's 15 seconds behind Dominguez. He's 35 seconds off the lead. I don't think Alonso can win this, but I think he can get top 10 maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to expect here, actually.
He's going slowly, so I think he's probably picked up too much damage. He's actually just dropping away from Andy Priaulx's time. So I think Alonso might be hobbled, or he's been through the pits to try and fix some damage. But yeah, I don't see he's going to get anywhere near this one now. Montoya was flying. He's just lost a couple of places, I think, but still up in 7th. He finished 2nd earlier. He had good pace and he made a nice move. So that was on Jan Magnussen earlier on at the chicane. But let's see if Montoya can make inroads, because of course the championship still, that could be important with Alonso at the back. And of course Montoya, for his own triple crown, his virtual triple crown, needs to win this race.
Yeah, that's very true. So let's keep an eye on those things. We're on board with Alonso, who cuts the chicane to avoid a spun Kevin Magnussen and gets up into 12th position then. Liuzzi in 11th, 10th for Brabham. Montoya still running there in 7th place. Priaulx out in front though, 1.8 seconds ahead now of Petter Solberg. That gap staying about the same, so Andy Priaulx out in front doing a solid job here to keep Priaulx to keep Solberg behind.
Yeah, he's got the fans behind him, literally, in the back. I'm still. It doesn't sit right with me that he just cut turn 1 to take the lead, I'm afraid. And it was, 2 touring car guys on the front, and then Andy Priaulx just behind. And the 2 touring car guys, Plato and Soper, were having a crash, and the 3rd one just snuck through, cutting the corner. Here comes Solberg. He might. second and a half in it, and maybe justice will be served. But it just felt a little bit sneaky. It was a bit Castroneves from Priaulx to take the lead. And now he's got better pace, quite frankly, than Castroneves had earlier to hold on.
Well, we have got the stewards who will be no doubt having a look at that, but already Solberg has suddenly got the gap down to under a second there. So I don't know if that was a mistake or something, but suddenly the gap drops down quite rapidly between the two leaders. Plato running in third, Castroneves fourth, Montoya then fifth, but a long way off the back of Castroneves. There's Mario Dominguez running in 8th place at the moment.
You said Solberg to the podium, didn't you?
Yeah, I did actually.
Right now, I think even Solberg probably thought he was going to have a good chance in this one because he qualified lower in the first, and he's gone back. He's out, disconnected. What a shame.
Petter Solberg, having been running so strongly, appears to have disconnected. Fernando Alonso sets the fastest lap of the race, but have we just lost Solberg from the podium positions? It looks like it. Soper then promoted up into 5th place, and yeah, we have lost Petter Solberg. What a shame. He was driving so well. That was going to be good points for him. We're on board now with David Brabham, who is going to be trying to get past Tonio Liuzzi in front of him.
Battle for 8th place. What a shame for Solberg. What a shame for the race as well, because now Priaulx's got a nice 9-second lead. Oh, Alonso might have just tapped the back of David Brabham, and he's snuck through there. Brabham spins at Portier, and Alonso through into 9th place. I tell you, he can still rescue a load of points in this race. Montoya up in 4th is a long way ahead in terms of time, but there's a line of cars that he can pass, and there is the Spaniard watching Liuzzi go side by side with Soper into the back. That's brave.
Very brave. I think Liuzzi is still in that position, holding on to 7th spot at the moment. Alonso right behind Liuzzi, and he just looks so much tidier everywhere, doesn't he?
Modern Formula One for you. I mean, not that Liuzzi didn't race in still modern Formula One, but Alonso there has just done a nice path on the Italian. He's just, the way that you've got to drive in modern Formula One is so neat and precise without sliding, and that's how you go quickly. Back in the day, in the 70s, you could slide it a lot more and still go quickly. But yeah, he's just very, very precise, and that is basically the skill. It's not even really just Formula One; it's generally the way that the whole of motorsport is got. And Alonso right now is proving it pretty well on a simulator as well. 2 passes and 2 corners.
Yeah, impressive stuff from Fernando Alonso. And he is now coming up behind Mario Dominguez, coming through the tunnel. We're on board with him now. Surely a look into the Nouvelle chicane. Oh, Dominguez came across. There's a bit of contact. And Alonso, facing the wrong way, suddenly loses the places he just had, although Soper clips the wall. And Alonso's up into 7th, so that means Tonio Liuzzi in all of that is promoted into 6th spot and gets a penalty for his troubles, I think, there, Liuzzi.
Yeah, he might have just shot across the chicane, I think, Liuzzi, and that's how he did it. I think Dominguez came across too much in the braking zone. Alonso committed to the inside, and once you do that, if someone squeezes you, you got nowhere else to go. You're already absolutely on the limit of the brakes. You can't just brake more. You can't turn because you'll hit the wall or Dominguez, and it was basically an accident waiting to happen when Dominguez was coming across. So that's what happened there, and Dominguez lost out a lot more than Alonso did.
On board with Alonso, up to Massenet again. Lap 6 of 10. Castroneves has just got past Plato for 3rd place. So a change for the podium positions. Big moment for Alonso. Hits the bump coming down to Mirabeau.
I'm surprised he's got any car left. Another whack out of Mirabeau. Really in the wars.
So there's, well, he sort of hit the inside barrier, then Dominguez, then Soper came sailing in, and Liuzzi went sailing across.
Yeah, actually, maybe there was a space for Alonso without, it wasn't so much Dominguez coming through, maybe it was just Alonso hitting that inside barrier, and that's what caused it all. But I mean, Dominguez coming across, I think, put the jitters on him, but I think there was still space for Fernando to go through. Surely his car is hobbled. He's been smashing into all sorts of barriers. He's been upside down at the start of the race. He's still broadside most corners. And now he's back behind Tonio Liuzzi. He's been in the wars, to say the least. And his rival, Juan Pablo Montoya, is up in second place.
Yeah. So Castroneves got ahead of Plato, and now Montoya is ahead of Castroneves. Here comes Alonso on Liuzzi for 6th position into Sainte Devote. And you can see Alonso's looking pretty stressed in this one, isn't he, when he made that move? Climbing the hill.
I think there's only so much you can do when you're starting a Legends race at the back and there's this amount of chaos on such a narrow circuit. And we saw it with Jenson Button a few weeks ago in, I think it was Estoril. Button was really, really quick. And he just got caught up in all manner of chaos at the start. And that's basically what's happened to Fernando here. And he's wheeling. He's wheeling. That's just after, I think he shot off the barrier on the inside, then whacked the barrier on the outside. And that's why he did it, because he literally didn't have his front tyres in contact with the ground in order to turn.
Well, that explains that one at least. As we are now on lap 7 of 10 in this final race of the day in the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. The Triple Crown we're going for. We've got this race, then in 2 weeks' time we've got Indianapolis, and then the week after that is Le Mans. Lap 8 of 10, on board here with Steve Soper, running in 11th position, trying to chase down Jan Magnussen. Montoya in second as Soper cuts the corner there. Montoya's 12 seconds off Andy Priaulx. This has been a good drive from Priaulx. And Alonso sets the fastest lap of the race. And he'll be with Jourdain. He's not. I think he's got third in him here, you know, as Soper hits the wall. I think Alonso's got third in him.
He's got to pass Jourdain quickly. Then he's certainly got fourth. Then there's another 3 seconds to Castroneves. If he gets third at the end of all this race, I mean, what a recovery that would still be. He's quick. I don't know how he's still pumping in fastest laps. Look, he's right with Jourdain now. Surely this is one for the chicane. He's got to do it neater than he did with Dominguez, though. And he hasn't.
Not quite then there for Alonso. Drops back a little bit. Now coming down towards the chicane. He's going to be too far away, I think, to go for the lunge, isn't he?
He just tapped the back of Jourdain at Portier, and then Jourdain might just lose it on his own, and now Alonso to the inside at back. I don't know if Jourdain thought he was getting out of the way of a back marker there, but he suddenly slowed, and Alonso then up the inside at back. Niche place, he's whacked the wall even harder than he's done so far in this race. But he's still going, and now it's Jason Plato just ahead.
Oh, and a little bump into the wall there for Plato. So that gives Alonso the opportunity, coming down into Sainte Devote. And is that going to be fourth now for Alonso? Yes, it is. He's just so late on the brakes compared to everyone else. Now, what's that? 4 seconds to Castroneves in 2 laps.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, I don't think.
I think he might do it in 1, to be honest, the way he's going. He's smashing the barrier. That's Castroneves just in front. And that's just going to Alonso will now know that's for a podium after all of this race. I think he's going to do it.
Through Portier. Under the tunnel. He's ahead of Plato now, running in 4th spot. Here's a look at the replay of... he's just so good on the brakes, Alonso.
That generally tends to be where the faster people are quicker across all series. They're so committed on the brakes, and they've got it absolutely perfect, fine-tuned the braking ability of their cars. And Alonso has just demonstrated that really well against Jason Plato there at Sainte Devote.
Final lap of the race for Priaulx. Alonso, the gap's come down to 1.5 seconds. This is going to be so close. Can Alonso catch and pass Castroneves on the final lap? Plato's had a bit of a moment there that allows Jourdain to get through. Climbing up the hill. Jourdain is Plato trying to fight back over 5th position. But Alonso is on the back now of Castroneves. Priaulx surely is going to take the win. Juan Pablo Montoya looks set for a 2nd place. There's Liuzzi up the inside, but Castroneves goes wide into the tunnel. Can Alonso get the podium on the final lap? That's the question. You see Liuzzi in the bottom left there. But here's Alonso. Is he going to do it, Jolien?
It's running out of possibilities now. This is the Tabac move, but he's not able to make it as he did on Jourdain a couple of laps ago. Rascasse, all or nothing at Rascasse.
And he sends it in swimming pool. Castroneves goes round, and Alonso is up into 3rd place. Andy Priaulx wins the reverse grid race in the Legends Trophy. Juan Pablo Montoya finishes 2nd, and Alonso across the line in 3rd position. That was a bit of a sketchy overtake, though, for me, right at the end there.
It's not an overtaking place conventionally, but Castroneves was so wide through the first part of the swimming pool that it was his own mistake that opened the door. And then Alonso, he had to go for it. He had no real other option. I mean, there's no obvious place at the end of the lap. I think if Castroneves was neater through the first part, I don't think he would have had that problem.
Here comes Jan Magnussen across the line in 9th position behind David Brabham, and Dominguez completes the top 10. But Priaulx, Montoya and Alonso, the top 3 after that. A very entertaining race. An unbelievable drive back through the order, really, from Fernando Alonso. Whether he got that 3rd place fairly or not is a different discussion, but nevertheless, it was a really impressive drive from the Spaniard. Castroneves in 4th place, so he has a 5th and a 4th from that race, so he's going to be quite up there towards the top part of the order when we get a look at the points in a few minutes' time. Castroneves in 4th, then 5th for Jourdain. Liuzzi, Plato, Brabham, Magnussen and Soper, the rest of the top 10. And we can now hear from the race winner, Andy Priaulx. Let's check in with him now. Andy, congratulations. Good drive that from the front, and a commanding win.
Hey, yeah, that was cool. It was a fun race. It's so difficult not to make a big mistake around there. So I was really happy. There was carnage in turn 1. So I went inside because otherwise I'd have been involved in that big accident. And like in the first race, I got passed by about 5 cars there. So I thought it'd be opportunistic and great to win a race. It's been a while, so I'm really enjoying it.
Great. What was it like driving these cars around Monaco? Because presumably, much less margin for error than any track we've been to so far.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, the old processor here is working hard. This is an old fella here at the wheel. So, yeah, it's working hard, but it's really good. I mean, the rFactor is a great platform and, everybody is doing a great job promoting it, and just a pleasure to be driving with all these legends, and to win a race is just icing on the cake.
Great. Well, congratulations. Thank you for joining us. It's been great fun. See you next time.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you.